Forget Goku versus Vegeta, forget Naruto versus Sasuke. If you want the purest, most visceral shonen rivalry, the one where two characters are so obsessed with proving their existence that one literally forces the other's wounds to be healed just to have a fair fight, then stop everything. We're talking about Ichigo versus Grimmjow Jaggerjaw. Now, the first fight, not the second, we have here for the definitive final third round knockout. This isn't just a battle, it's a thesis on pride, instinct, and why one Panther man with blue hair became Bleach's most magnetic antagonist. This is the Duel of Kings, the absolute high water mark of the Huchos Mundo invasion, spanning chapters 279 through 286 of the manga and crystallized across three iconic episodes, 165, 166, and 167. And what makes this final confrontation so electric, so endlessly rewatchable? Parity. For the entire Arrancar arc, Ichigo was playing catch-up, constantly being beaten, injured, and sent back. His inner hollow powers, his greatest asset, was also his greatest fear. On the other side, Grimmjow, the self-proclaimed king, couldn't live with the two previous non-conclusive scraps. For him, anything less than a definitive win against a peak strength Ichigo was meaningless. This entire fight is a narrative engine running on one man's gigantic psychotic pride. And trust me, the absurdity of the setup is part of the charm. Let's dive into why this fight is ego. Imagine being the villain, and your master plan involves ensuring your hero rival is perfectly rested and healthy. That's Grimmjow. The context here is crucial. Grimmjow, previously mutilated by Haname Tosen, his arm severed, his number 6 rank destroyed, gets a miracle cure. He uses Odahime's ability to reverse time and completely restore his missing arm and the glorious number 6 on his back. The first thing he does, he maniacally laughs, murders his replacement Luffy, and then he strides over to Ichigo and demands that Orihime heal him too. It's the ultimate Kenpachi mindset. If I'm going to beat you, you better not have any excuses. But this act isn't just about arrogance, it's existential. Grimmjow started life as an Achuchas class hollow. For a hollow of that class, identity is everything. Lose your will and you regress, dissolving into the collective spiritual soup. His entire life has been a violent affirmation of his individuality, his self-designated kingship. He needs Ichigo to be the ultimate test, the final proof that his journey to become the strongest, most himself version of Grimmjow was valid. Then comes the moment of true glorious insanity. Ukiura, Aizen's second in command, tries to shut down the unsanctioned fight. Grimmjow's response, he pulls out the forbidden dimensional seal, Kaja na Gashion, and sticks his boss's boss in timeout. He literally eliminated all distractions to guarantee a pure, uninterrupted one-on-one duel of destiny. That level of commitment to a fistfight is why we love this cycle. When the dust settles and the stage is clear, the power scaling instantly shoots up to critical mass. This is the moment where Ichigo finally unleashes his Bankai and his Hollow Mask for a prolonged fight, and Grimmjow responds with his Resurrection Pantera, Spanish for Panther. The general consensus among power analysts is that the final dynamic reached near perfect parity. Hollow Mask Bankai Ichigo was fundamentally equal to release Grimmjow Pantera. This is the beautiful math that creates cinematic perfection. Resurrection is essentially an Arrancar's Bankai, granting a massive boost. We're talking 5 to 10 times the baseline power. The Pantera form itself is gorgeous, transforming Grimmjow into a lithe cat-like warrior, giving him incredible boosts to his Reiatsu, stamina, and physical strength. His speed, described as matching a wild cat, allows him to constantly keep pace with a flash-stepping qualified Ichigo. Crucially, his Arrancar Iron Skin, Kieto, becomes so potent that it can shrug off a direct blast from a Holified Getsuga Tensho without crippling damage. Imagine being hit by a small tactical nuke and just getting a mild burn. But the real spice comes from his techniques. La Garra de la Pantera, claws of the panther. These are 5 small high-speed projectile bombs he fires from his elbows. It sounds quaint, but one round is strong enough to obliterate massive pillars holding up Las Noches. This Garron, rending claw of the Panther King, is his ultimate massive effort technique. With a slash of his glowing claws, he unleashes up to 10 massive razor-sharp blades made of concentrated spiritual energy. This is the finishing move meant to tear Ichigo's very existence to shreds. The choreography here is a symphony of raw kinetic force. Grimmjow lands more hits because of his refined predatory speed, but Ichigo's strikes, fueled by unstable explosive Reiatsu, carry more raw destructive power. It's speed versus savage force, and they are constantly canceling each other out. Now let's talk about the protagonist, because this fight isn't just about Grimmjow proving he's a king. It's about Ichigo deciding what kind of king he is. For Ichigo, the Hollow Mask has been a burden, a scary power that threatens to overwhelm his identity. He views the raw instinct of the Hollow as a chain shackling him. He's fighting with a handbrake on because he's terrified of what he might become. This internal struggle comes to a head through Orihime. He is initially paralyzed by fear, specifically because Ichigo's terrifying Hollow Mask reminds her of her deceased brother, Sora, and his Hollow transformation into a beautifully painful piece of character work added by the enemy, making her fear deeply personal. But when she overcomes that trauma and shouts for Ichigo, it's the external validation he needs to break the chains. When Ichigo understands his purpose, that his instinct isn't selfishly destructive, but is a desire to fight selflessly for those he cares about. The psychic barrier breaks. His raw power, once chaotic, is now focused by a higher resolve. This shift is key. Grimmjow's power is guided by pure self-serving pride. Ichigo's power is guided by compassion, and in Bleach, that protective resolve is constantly framed as the superior source of spiritual power. This final sequence is cinematic mastery, blending spectacular visuals with one baffling continuity error that actually becomes a narrative strength. Early in the arc, Ichigo was explicitly limited to 11 seconds of holification. It's a hard technical limit. Yet, if you go back and time the critical sequence in this final fight, the moment he activates the mask, Pantera up to the blow, activates the mask against Pantera up to the final blow, it lasts over 37 seconds. That's not anime time dilation. That's Ichigo blowing past his own established power ceiling. The real answer woven into the narrative is that the 11-second limit was never just physical, it was psychological. It was the duration his resolve could hold before his fear of the Hollow took over. Once Orihime's support allowed him to accept that power, to align instinct with purpose, the timer essentially shattered. The longer duration wasn't a plot hole, it was the visual evidence of his spiritual breakthrough. The music here is integral. When the fighting is at its peak, you get the driving orchestral rock anthem, The Power to Strive, fueling the back and forth fury. But when Ichigo finally overcomes this Garron and delivers the decisive final blow across Grimmjow's chest, the music shifts, the explosive rock fades, replaced by that profound melancholic, sad string motif, often associated with Shiro Saigisu work like Never Meant to Belong. This song transition elevates Grimmjow's defeat from a simple villain loss to a moment of tragic nobility. He collapses, utterly broken, but refusing to surrender. He is defeated, but his identity as the king remains intact. And Ichigo, the victor, acknowledges this code of the rival. When Noritora Gyoga, the actual fifth Espada, ambushes the fallen Grimmjow, Ichigo defends him. It's the ultimate confirmation. Ichigo respects Grimmjow not as a disposable enemy, but as a warrior who upheld a mutual, though brutal, code of honor. The Ichigo vs. Grimmjow final fight is perfect because it functions on every level. High-octane action, a beautiful blend of physical and energy techniques, and a thematic resolution for both characters. Ichigo accepts his full power, and Grimmjow gets the affirmation of his existence, even in defeat. But the biggest critique of the original anime production, the pacing, the spectacular high-stakes battle, the climax of Pucho's Mundo Invasion's first half, was immediately followed by multiple episodes of filler arcs. Seriously, the moment Ichigo achieved this massive breakthrough, the studio essentially hit the pause button for several months. It created a jarring, momentum-killing shift that still annoys fans to this day. The narrative irony is that even this peak victory immediately serves as a new benchmark for Ichigo's weakness. Even at his absolute strongest, masked Bankai, he was still demonstrably weaker than base Ukiura. His subsequent battle only chipped Ukiura's sword. Promptly, the fourth Espada to finally unleash his resurrection, Primera Etapa. The lesson: you just defeated a king, Kurosaki. Now get ready for a god. This fight is a defining rival clash of the series, an unforgettable moment where the raw, unadulterated passion of two warriors transcends the order of their respective armies. What do you think? Did Ichigo's resolve truly shatter the 11-second limit? Or was it just a good old-fashioned dose of anime magic? Let me know in the comments, and if you want to see our next deep dive on why Ukiura is the ultimate nihilist, smash that like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See y'all on another one. Seemlytuber out. Peace.